Hey, Frank, it's Mike back in LA. AD mentioned that it was a pretty competitive practice today, and I just wondered what you were hoping to get out of it ahead of these 8 seeding games, and if it was related at all to just a summary of the 3 scrimmage games and what you guys have been able to do so far.
Yeah, I mean, it was a typical practice before a game. We covered the opponent a little bit, and we got a little bit of live work in. But I was careful not to overdo it, with our first a meaningful seeding game coming tomorrow.
Is that it, Mike?
Yep, thanks.
Anthony?
Yeah, Coach, I mean, this honestly may be a better question for about a week or two from now, but this is kind of a unique, obviously, setting where all the games are in the same place. You have a lot of options down at the 8 seed to potentially play. When it gets closer to the playoffs, do you envision yourself like going down and trying to scout the games? Will that be allowed? And how different could that be from a scouting perspective?
Yeah, we'll have personnel scouting those games when our opponent becomes more clear. If time permits, I could see myself going to a game or two. But, we have scouts that it's their job to put together the game plan. And often in these situations, you're only allowed one seat. So, we'll just play it by ear. But I could see myself going to some games for sure.
How helpful would that be for you? I mean, like to actually, literally maybe be able to watch your next playoff opponent, like 2 of their, final few games.
Yeah, you see a couple little different nuances. I mean, it's really not all that different than seeing it on TV. You're able to watch the point guard and the coach full time, if you're looking for play calls and whatnot. But, every team in the league does this sort of thing with every game. So it's I don't think it's going to be that different here than it would be in a normal regular season.
Okay, we're going to go with Kyle Goon.
Frank, how much of a relief was it to have AD back in practice today? And what'd you see out of him? I guess wearing some glasses, some goggles. What was going on with that?
Yeah, he looked better than anybody that's ever worn them. I mean, it's a style. It's a style thing. So, we have a good-looking superstar that looks great in glasses or goggles or whatever you want to call those things. And, yes, the rec specs. It was great to have him back out there. Obviously, it's still going to be dependent on his evaluation tonight, how he feels overnight, how the eyes feel tomorrow.
Tanya Ganguly.
You think it's going to be hard there's a lot of guys that really thrive on the pressure of playoffs and enjoy that sort of heightened intensity that comes with it. Do you think in this environment it's going to be hard to have that same feeling?
No, I think once you're in the playoffs, the stakes. I think that drives elite players more than the actual crowd. But, this is unprecedented. So, we'll see how that plays out. I would imagine that, once we get in those games, in particular, when you have a lion in a locker room like LeBron James, everything's going to be done on point. The focus is going to be super heightened. And, I expect our guys to rise to the challenge, the same as it would be if we were playing in front of a big crowd.
Kyle Goon. Oh, did I get called? I'm sorry, Joe. I'm sorry. I'm looking in that direction.
All right. You played the Clippers to open the year. Played them on Christmas. They were your last win. And now, after all this weirdness, you're going to see them again. They're missing 3 of their best guys. Does this game mean anything? Does it mean something, given all of the stakes and all of the context that I just laid out? What does this game mean to you?
Well, it's the first of the seeding games, and our mission with these 8 games is to get ready for the playoffs and be as healthy as possible. But we do have great respect for their organization and the team they put together. They're one of the best teams in the league. So, more than anything, I think it's going to be a great measuring stick for where we're at. Obviously, we still have a long way to go until we're playoff ready, and you don't sharpen yourselves as well against teams of lesser opponent, a lesser opponent than you would against a great team. So, it's definitely going to be a good test for us.
Okay, Jared.
Kind of along the same lines, Coach. We had spoken about at around the 55 game mark, how you wanted to have your minutes for players and how you wanted to use them getting ready for the playoffs. How much different will these 8 games be as the first 8 games rather than the last 8 games?
case by case, day by day, smart minutes. We just want to be careful. We're still, even though we're through the scrimmage games, we're a couple weeks into this thing. We're still coming out of a 4-month hiatus. So we'll be intelligent down the stretch, evaluating it on a daily basis. And again, the goal is to reach the playoffs as in rhythm and sharp as we possibly can, while managing the minutes the right way and being healthy.
Chris?
How much uncertainty or curiosity do you have about not just what you're going to see in your team over the next couple of weeks, but what other teams look like, who's in shape, who's not? I mean, even in scrimmages, you only get kind of a small taste of what the starters are going to put out there.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some uncertainty, but like I said, there's been a few weeks now that guys have had a chance to get their legs in, under them, so to speak. And our expectation when anytime we play anybody is to expect their best. And if we come in and the guys aren't in great shape, or there's some unexpected things, we know that can happen. But we're expecting teams to be at full strength and at their best.
And Mark Medina?
Right, Danny and Anthony were saying, the guys have talked among themselves about possible ideas of how they might protest tomorrow. During those conversations, to what extent do you provide perspective, or do you just kind of stay out of those discussions?
Just offer support to be aligned with whatever they decide. They've talked a little bit about it. They're going to talk more this evening, come up with what they feel like is the best plan. I'll be a part of that and making sure that our coaching staff that is out there is united in what we decide to do.
All right. And I think Tanisha has the last question with Bryant.
Hey, Frank. You've sort of mixed and matched all season long with the role guys and the bench and who gets some of those minutes. When you add players like JR and Dion who have maybe a little bit of a different skill set than you've had throughout the season, how does that kind of influence the process? Because, I would think it might change some of the combinations and things like that. How much do you feel like you can learn about that over the course of these 8 games?
Well, that's going to be one of the bigger goals of these 8 games is just seeing exactly how those guys fit in and, what they look like with their different combinations of the guys that have already been here. We've had some very encouraging signs with both of them in the first 3 scrimmage games and in all the practices that we've had. But, it's a different animal when you're playing meaningful games. So, we'll continue to see how that all plays out. But we feel good about what we would call good problems. They're playing well, and we know they can step up and play bigger minutes if needed. But we'll use these 8 games to get enough of a look at them to see how they fit into the playoff picture.
All righty. Thanks, Frank.